Traveling through Indian Railways is an experience for all seven senses of the body. Whilst being in an Indian Railway passenger train, you must have seen the long, rusty-colored Mal Gadis, also called freight trains, moving slowly through the countryside and the towns. It may or may not have occurred to you, but those trains, those Mal Gadis, form the lifeline of the country's economy. However, the freight trains have always been meted a step-brotherly treatment, where the passenger trains are given priority. This leads to the delayed delivery time of the goods, bloated logistics costs, wastage of fuel, that is diesel, and overall loss of money to the exchequer and in turn, the honest taxpayer of the country. The solution for overcoming the problem is rather simple and one that has been implemented by developed nations across the globe. Build a dedicated freight train network. Sounds simple, but unfortunately, since independence we have failed to build one. However, that is changing now as the Modi government takes the responsibility to change the face of the freight rail business of the country. Hi and welcome. This is TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Atul Mishra, and in this video I will explain the master plan of the Modi government with regards to the Indian Railways and how it is going to be a game changer. Let's begin. Reforms have been at the core of the Modi government's agenda ever since it assumed power in 2014. Taking a revolutionary step forward, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Monday launched the National Monetization Plan, or the NMP. One of the major assets listed under the monetization plan includes Indian Railways and its ambitious projects like passenger train operations by private sector players and dedicated freight corridor. The former project is expected to raise rupees 21,642 crore, whereas the latter will yield rupees 20,178 crore. According to a Niti Aayog report, railway share in the transportation of surface freight has declined from 86.2% in 1950 to 51 to 33% in 2015, owing to a shortfall in carrying capacity, plus due to the lack of a dedicated corridor. The Modi government has set out to correct this anomaly and has started working at a breakneck speed on building the dedicated freight corridor, or the DFC. Currently, Western DFC connecting Haryana and Maharashtra and the Eastern DFC connecting Punjab and West Bengal are under construction. Both the corridors are being constructed at a cost of rupees 95,238 crore with funding from multilateral agencies, World Bank and Japan International Cooperation Agency. More DFCs are being planned, such as the North-South DFC between Delhi and Tamil Nadu, East-West DFC between West Bengal and Maharashtra, East-South DFC between West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh, and South-South DFC between Tamil Nadu and Goa. Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself has been actively overseeing the development of the project. He inaugurated the 351-kilometer long Khurja-Bhaupur section of the EDFC and the 306-kilometer long Revai Madar station of the WDFC in quick succession in December last year and January this year. Talking about the lack of implementation on the ground despite the project being conceived more than a decade ago, PM Modi stated, "The plan to develop the dedicated freight corridors have been on paper since 2006, but the work started only after 2014. 0 kilometers of the corridor was constructed in 8 years, while in the last 6 to 7 years, we have built 1100 kilometers. Currently, freight trains do not get priority over passenger trains. Once completed, at least 70% of the freight trains will be transferred on the Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India, or the DFCCIL network. Moreover, the electrified railway line will allow freight trains to travel 3 times faster while pulling heavier loads." Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, present during the inauguration alongside PM Modi, had remarked that the speed of freight trains will increase from 25 km per hour to 75 km per hour. The quicker, cheaper and more reliable movement of goods will contribute to reducing India's inordinately high logistics costs, which make up for over 13 to 14% of the GDP. The DFC will bring it down to 8%, which will be in tune with the global standards. It will also help in binding the country into a single market, as the goods will be transferred from one extreme corner of India to another extreme with minimum fuss and maximum efficiency. The dedicated corridor will also help in the timely movement of cargo and may lead to the introduction of more passenger trains in the future. According to a World Bank report, each kilometer-long freight train on the EDFC will replace some 72 trucks on average. This will ease congestion on India's overcrowded roads and highways, which carry an overwhelming 60% of the country's freight, and make the roads safer whilst reducing the carbon footprint. The Khurja-Bhaupur section alone will decrease the country's CO2 emissions by some 4.2 million tons between 2022 and 2052 and make a significant dent in air pollution. Martha Lawrence, who leads railway solutions at the World Bank, has remarked, "This pioneering initiative will be a game changer for India's transport sector, moving India onto a greener growth path. It has the potential to make India a front runner in rail freight operations, boosting the competitive edge of its manufacturers and producers." Furthermore, in a major Make in India enterprise, powerful new locomotives that can pull the 6,000-ton freight trains at 75 to 100 km per hour are now being manufactured in Madhepura, Bihar in collaboration with the French company Alstom. It is being dubbed as the first FDI project in Indian Railways. The work is moving at a swift speed with DFCCIL using state-of-the-art technology to complete the work. The dedicated corridor should have been built long back, but successive Congress governments never thought of it as an important national investment and kept it in the cold storage. However, the Modi government's keenness in completing the project will reduce the logistical cost of the railways network, which in turn will influence the price of the goods. More importantly, it will also boost ease of doing business and attract greater foreign investment.